Hello, it's what is it today? Saturday? 13th? April 13th on Saturday. It's about 2 o'clock. I received my puller for this from Amazon today. I have this little project. It's a router. I work with Fred. And the bearing on the shaft of the router is missing, I don't know, 10, 12 bearings out of it. So it was making quite the racket. So I was able to take it apart, and then I needed to order a special puller. And I didn't want to order the bearing because I'm not sure how the bearing is going to come off. So we're going to pull this bearing, try to pull this bearing off, and then if it all goes well, then I'm going to order a bearing. So let's get at it, and I'll tell you more about it after I get the bearing pulled off. But I want to show you what I'm doing. Better picture. Okay, this is the bearing here that's bad. And if you look down in there, you can see some of the bearings are missing. So what I'm going to do before I try to pull this bearing is push more of the bearings over here where the puller is. So it'll support there's an outer ring here and an inner ring. And we pull this off, we want them both to come off together. I don't want to pull the outside cage off and then end up with the center sitting in there, because that will be bad. So I put the collar on here. And I tightened the collar up, and then I put a number 10 washer and then a number 8 washer on top of that to support it for the puller pin to fit into. So I'm going to adjust these bearings, and then we're going to try pulling this off. So I'm going to set you up here so that you can see what I'm doing maybe. I get my big old fat fingers out of the way, and hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on here. Alright. So let's see the bearings. Push those bearings around to by the puller. I know my shoulder's probably in the way, but just gotta get those bearings right where the puller is. Okay. Now, let's see if we get this thing to come off. We'll back it up a little bit. Alright, it's turning. Oh boy. It's kind of getting offside a little bit. Okay, let me reposition it. Gotta get a straight pull on this thing here. Maybe I need to adjust these out a little bit more. There we go. I want it tight. There we go. Maybe it's pulling off to one side a little bit. Okay, let's redo this here. Sure my bearings are in there. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, wow. That bugger is really on there. I'm going to have to get a crescent. Get my gloves on. Yep. This is not going to be fun. See if I can hold this in place while I turn it. Oh, just made a cracking noise. Maybe that's good. Hey, it looks like it's coming off. Alright. Awesome. I'll have to text Fred, let him know it came off. I can actually order a bearing for this. I was really surprised. I have the parts in stock for it. But I didn't want to order it. Oh, look at that. Awesome. Look at that. Hee hee hee. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's great. Look at that. It came off. So I'm going to take this collar off and we'll pull the bearing off. Put this back in my little magnetic tray so I don't lose anything. Ah, I like it. I love it. Wow, look at that. Yeah. Yeah, missing a few bearings there. And I'll show you on this thing here. I wasn't sure. And there's actually you can see it. There's a snap ring. See the snap ring right there? Didn't know that was in there. I couldn't see it. But I put my feeler gauges in there to see what the distance was between this thing that keeps this little fan blade deal that keeps the motor cool, and the bottom of the race here, the inner race. And that was actually 75,000. Look at that thing, how that bent that washer. Yeah. Where's my little washer? Stuck on there. My little washer's around here somewhere, and I better find it. Where'd it go? Did it fall off on the floor? Nah. I bet you it fell in there. Okay, I'll find it. So, alright. That all came back and went back together. Well, it came apart. I'll have to take it completely apart to drive that front piece on, because I have to put the back side of that shaft that goes through, set that on a piece of wood to drive the other bearing on, and I'll show you that later. But everything went well, and there's a video on it, shows you how to take this thing apart and go back together again, and I'm going to put that in the description. You can watch that. So far so good. Now you have to order the bearing. Alright, see ya. Okay, found the other little washer. And that's got quite a divot in it. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. It's got a pretty good dent in it, but yeah, I kind of thought this washer might have fallen into the armature, but it didn't. So we're doing good. Alright, we're going to put the new bearing in. New bearing came in. And be real careful with this thing. I don't want to bend any of those things. And we're going to put a little drop of WD-40 on here. There is that little snap ring. Got my screwdriver. Here's that little snap ring that is like a stop. And that should be where the bearing stops. The socket, it's a what is it? 15 millimeter, and it fits that just right. You don't want to be pushing on this black part or on the outer ring. You want to be on the inner ring, so you don't mess it up. So let's put a drop of oil on here, and we're going to tap this home. Very carefully. You don't need a lot, just enough to. There we go. Come on. Come on. Jeez. Come on. There we go. I sprayed it, and there's a drop of oil that was on this end of the straw. So just enough. We just don't want to get all crazy in here with that oil. Alright, Pre-checking. You'll feel it when you hit home. I'm just being super careful. Just about there. Take a little light. There you go. It's on. And the back one rolls good. So. Okay. Now on to assembly. Alrighty, we had that, just got that bearing installed. I bought this from Parts Warehouse, and it's a, there is it. I'm going to get behind it there. You can see that? Nope, there it is. It's a 680071014. I'll put that there. You can see it. If you need to pause it and look at that, I'll put it in the description too. They said it was going to ship within 2 to 5 days. Well, it did ship for about 10 days. So I put it in a box. I had to use my bench here, so it's taken me about a month to get this all done. But then I had to order that puller, and this is the puller. There's the size of the puller. That's the 38 to 65 millimeter. And on the previous video, you saw the puller. Nice one. I've had other stuff apart. When I was younger, somebody had a bad saw that they were getting rid of, so I took it home and took it apart, and the bearings were bad on it like this. But being a kid back then, I didn't know about ordering parts, and I just took it apart to see what it looked like on the inside. So I'm going to put this all back in. I went and watched the video again just to kind of get the old brain moving the way I took it apart, took pictures. Only thing I could say is when you put the brushes in, this brush has a little dip to it. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a little dip to it, and you have to line it up. This is the armature. You have to line it, put it back in the same orientation so that it lays up on the cup part lands on here. That must be Flo telling me she's ready to go to lunch. What was the other thing I was thinking of? Oh, that wire, this little wire that comes up through here. It goes up next to where the wheel is. Okay, I'm going to look. Wherever this little wheel thing goes, this wire goes through this housing. Goes through this housing. And they show you kind of on that video, the wire kind of fits through the housing. So, that's about it. We're going to put this thing all together and give it a spin, and I'll have to go to breakfast. Alright, I'll be back. Wanted to show you something here. Shows you where that wire, this is the wire right here. This is the one that's for the light on the router. Well, there's a little tab right there, right at the end of my finger. See a little slot there? So you stick that wire up through this opening right here. Oh, got enough hands here. The wire comes up through this opening here, and then when you get it this all snap together, push together, then you push the wire down into this little slot right here. That's this wire right here. This wire here. And then it plugs into that there. You got to kind of wrap things around. But I took pictures of this before I took it apart, just to make sure of what I was doing. They show on the video that you slide the armature in around the magnets. Well, that's all good, but you got these screws that go down the side of the magnets to screw that armature, or not the armature, but the magnet round housing into the back part of the router. So you got to put that magnets and stuff down in there, put the screws in there, and then slide the armature down in there. Make sure that clip stays down in there. Make sure you hold it up with the clip down and you push the armature in this way. Slide it in there, move it around, make sure it pops into place. And you can look in the back side with a flashlight and see where that rear bearing sits. You move it around and it slides right in. So little things that you run into this that they don't tell you on that video. Alright, when I took this thing apart, I pulled this wire up out of this notch right here. I pulled the wire up out of the notch because this was underneath this. So what I'm going to do is put this wire back underneath, because I did take a picture of this. Can you see that right? So I'm going to pull this wire up and put this small wire up underneath it, because that's how it came in. And then the small wire fits in this little groove right here. There's a groove right here that it fits into by the end of my screwdriver. Snaps together, and then this piece here will snap back or push back into that little groove here. So let's get this thing back together. See if I can get my fat fingers to do this. There it is. Now that fits down in there. See, it fits down in that little, this is a little slot, then this piece pushes down over there. So let me get you in a little bit closer in case you missed everything that I just did on this here. So this wire goes underneath this one. This is the one I had popped up. See? There's the little groove that it goes into. So I had to pop that up to take this coupler apart so we could take the front housing off. So this is that little plug for the LED light. So push that back into place. And then this thing fits down in here somehow. I'll have to look at my pictures, see how that fits in there, and then the back goes on. See? It's easy as that. Not. Alrighty. Back together. And we turn the thing on here. Oh. Nice and quiet. Light comes on. Everything went back. I had a few things that I forgot when I was putting this together. This little clip right here. When you go to slide this housing on, make sure that clip is in there, because I had to take it back apart again. Putting this end cap on was interesting. Getting the brushes in there. You got to make sure you orientate those to the curvature of the armature. And then there's a little washer that has to fit over a little clip just right. And then you slide that in there, and I use my little I use my little screwdriver to hold that in there before I pop the little dust cap on, so I had to set an angle, and I got the dust cap on there real quick and then screwed it in there and everything went right. But yeah, interesting project. Got to fix it for one of the guys I work with. Nice. All together is probably around 30 bucks. I think it's around 15 for that bearing from Parts Warehouse, and then another about 15 I think for the puller. Not a big deal. I enjoyed it. Really kind of tried my patience. A few things, you know, you get something together and you go, oh wow, now that's got to go in before that goes in, and that has to go in, you know. So that's why I took pictures of it before I took it apart on the back side. And I reviewed the pictures to make sure where the wiring went before especially that little plug where you take it out for the LED light. It kind of goes underneath that one wire that I showed you in the video, that you need to lift it up, get it out from there when you take it apart, and then put it back underneath there and then push it down into that little groove. Everything fits in there just right. So if you take pictures beforehand, you know how everything kind of squeezes in and pushes down. So I'll email Fred and say, hey, it's alive, purring like a kitten. Alright, so this is Rick from Get Her Done. Don't have my hat out here. Be nice to your neighbor, and thanks for stopping by. Alright, bye.